Hello, Booktube. Hello, friends. Welcome to LizziefayeLovesBooks. I'm Elizabeth, and today I want to share with you my 2021 reading goals. I have been stewing over this for 9 days now, and I have been working on just making lists of where I am with all the different series and making lists of videos I want to do and all of that. And of course, you may have already seen some of my wrap-ups, like my 20 by 20 challenge and my December wrap-up and things like that. And I still want to go back and look at maybe my favorite books of 2020 and things like that. But before we get any farther in the year, I'd like to go ahead and share my goals with you. There will be a few other videos. I can't decide where to put my glasses. I'll put them right here. There will be a few other videos of different specific things, like where I actually show you the specific books within each of a few of these projects. But for now, let's just do kind of an overview. And before I get started into 2021, let's just briefly look at my 2020 goals and see where I came in with those goals. So most people like to talk about their Goodreads goal first, and I usually set mine at 150. Of course, I surpassed that immensely. I almost got like 300% of my goal. I never change it. I just enjoy watching it go up if I go over. If I don't go over, it's not a big deal. I'm going to try not to cry over that, but I'm going to keep it at 150, and I am not going to listen to as many audiobooks this year as I did last year. I was well over 300 audiobooks. Some of them were just little dinky, 1 hour books, but, I want to say the longest audiobook was probably like 27 hours or something like that. And I've got one audiobook for sure that I'm listening to this year as a buddy read that is about the same length. So I do enjoy longer books, but I also enjoy shorter books. I like checking things off my list, and I've got lists here. So let's just go over what I plan to read. So now, if you saw my wrap up for my 20 by 20 challenge, that encompassed most all of the reading projects that I had going into 2018. The only other one I added after that was my TBR jar, and I am keeping that. My TBR jar, I have two actually. One is nonfiction and one is fiction, and they are books. The books I put in there are ones that I believe I can unhaul when, after I've read them, and or don't finish them, look at them again and decide if I'm going to read them or not. It turns out some of those books have been much better than I thought they would be, and I have kept a few just for reference or rereading or whatever, but several I have been able to move on out of my life. And I have a lot more books that would fall into that category, and I'm going to talk to you later in the, on my list of my strategy going forward. Not just a TBR jar, but another strategy I have for getting through some of those books that I think I can unhaul, because I do need to unhaul some books. Okay, then the other goal that I kind of didn't do great at was I did a whole video called, I just need to read one a month. And that was just for this year. I had kind of thought, okay, I was looking at what I had left on my 20 by 20 challenge, and I had several stacks and things and, projects. And I thought, if I could just read one of these, I made a list, and I think there was like 14 or 16 lists. And I thought, if I can just read one thing off of each of these lists every month, then I'll get my reading projects pretty much done. The problem is, well, there's two problems with that. And as I've looked back and tried to think why I didn't have real success with that. I had too many lists. It was just, it was too scattered. I had too much. And even though I was reading more than 16 books a month, I still had all these other things going on. And here's the big reason why it didn't work for me. I read thematically, seasonally. So I just kind of looked at the months and realized that really all but about 3 months of the year, I've got a focus already on a particular theme or genre of books that I am already doing. And so for me to insert another 16 books, some would fit with the theme, but others wouldn't. And it's just too much. Now, I could insert maybe 3 or 4 other books in addition to the theme, but not 16. So here's my themes for this year, for 2021. January is usually just kind of catch up with the stuff that I was trying to get done in, last year and I didn't get done. February now has become my month to read books by and about Laura Ingalls Wilder. I host the Little House Readathon. It's only from February 7th to the 10th, but that is going to be my month now to read more about her, at least for a little while. And I have a lot of biography books and things that, it's not to say that's all I'm going to read, because I've got a lot of other things to read, but that's going to be my focus, is kicking off the month with that readathon and then continuing through the month to read some other things from my shelves that are about or by Laura Ingalls Wilder. Then March, say it with me, everybody. March Mystery Madness. Yay! Now, I do also like to read at least one middle grade mystery so that I can support middle grade March. But March Mystery Madness, of course, is something that Troy Towell and I started back in 2016. And we celebrated 5 years last year. So this will be the 6th year. And of course, that is going to be focused on mysteries for the whole month. Then April, Sarah and I started the Amish in April readathon, which is 1 week long in April, but because I have several Amish themed books and authors that I want to get to this year, I'm pretty much going to focus mostly on Amish and inspirational reading for the month of April. Then May, I have historically read middle grade books in May. Kasawa Kay, who is an older booktuber, she's not old, but she's been on since longer than me, and she's not on much anymore, but she started middle grade May many years ago, and I love to read middle grade books in May. The Sunshine State books are announced at the end of April, so it's a perfect time to get a jump start on what has just been announced and read, some of those middle grade books. And it's just a great time to read middle grade books with a few of my longtime booktube friends like Elizabeth Tyree. Her and I have been reading middle grade May books and she's a middle grade school teacher. So we've been reading together, buddy reading various things, and have been booktube friends for a long time. So, anyway, May is it for me. That's when I am going to read middle grade books primarily. Then June and July have typically been months that I read romance, although last year Sarah from the Bookish Knitter decided to just focus in on 1 month, and she did her romance readathon in August, and I helped co-host that. So June and July right now are a little bit open, but I have in mind some beach reads and some summary type things that I want to read, and also it can just be kind of a catch-up time to read things that I can't slot in somewhere else. And so then that leaves August for romance. September, I don't have anything in particular, but I will probably continue to work on the Sunshine State list. And if I haven't finished reading all of next school year's books by then, I will make an attempt to finish those up by then. And then in October, I don't usually read spooky books, but that is when I tend to maybe read anything on my TBR that's dystopian or fantasy or just things that are a little darker. And then November is nonfiction. Of course, I don't usually read all nonfiction, but I do like to read more nonfiction in November than I have, during the rest of the year. Our book club usually reads nonfiction in November as well. And then December, I really want to get back this year to reading pretty much only Christmas-themed books for December. In 2020, I read a few, but I had so many other things I was trying to finish up from my 20 by 20 challenge that I didn't focus on Christmas books. So those are my themed months and my readathons. Now, I do plan to participate in the Fall Into Reading Challenge again, if they do that again. That was hosted by several wonderful hosts, including Rainey and I think Angie and Tia and all the books. And so that was definitely fun. And there'll be other readathons that I will want to participate in as well. So that is kind of how my reading year is going to be structured. I'm going to read themes seasonally and not worry so much about trying to read one of everything each month, with a couple of exceptions. So another project that has been ongoing for me for a while is reading Newbery winners. And I've got about 35 left to go, and I'll just read as many of those as I can. But for sure, I want to read at least one every month that I have not read before. Really, I'm probably going to have to bump that up, and I don't know if I space that out, about 3. I'm going to have to read about 3 a month in order to finish by the end of the year. This year, I believe, is going to be the year they announce the 100th Newbery winner, and I would like to finish reading all 100 of the winners by the end of this year. And of course, as I finish each decade, I will do a presentation here on my channel, and I will talk to you about all of the Newbery winners from each particular decade. I've already done the 90s, the 80s, and the 70s, and I'm almost done reading the 60s, and so that will be the next one that I do. Then I already mentioned the Sunshine State books. So those are 15 books that have been hand selected by the school librarians in Florida. And that is the recommended reading list for 6th to 8th grade. And I have been reading all 15 of those for several years now, ever since Katie's been in middle school. And she's a senior in high school this year. And I really, really enjoy those books. It's a great way to make sure that I am on top of the latest, greatest middle grade books, and it gives me a really good excuse to read those. So another project is book clubs. I am a member of 2 different library book clubs. One is the Mystery Book Club that I facilitate, and then our other book club is called the Literati Book Club, and that is led by one of our library staff members. And we have already picked out our books for the whole year, and so I will do videos and share with you what we are planning to read for the rest of the year, well, for the whole year. And I am a little disappointed, though, with what we ended up with for the Mystery Book Club. I didn't get as much say in the final choices as I usually do, because we sort of, we try to all have input and pick, even though I facilitate the club, it's not up to me to decide everything that we're going to read. I can give input just like anyone else, and then we try to vote on it and do it diplomatically and everything. So we chose several different series, and then it turned out that some of the series had been going on so long that the libraries had weeded out a lot of the earlier books. So we weren't able to find enough copies in our library system to start with the first book of probably 5 or 6 different series. And I have really mixed feelings about that. I don't want to jump in the middle of that many series. I might could do it once or twice, but I don't really want to do it that many times. And I don't know that I'll have time to start at the beginning of all these series and get up to the books that we're supposed to be reading and actually discussing with enough whatever to be able to lead that discussion. So when I do that video about what Mystery Book Club books that we're reading, I will ask you at that point, is this a series that, is it a big deal that we're jumping into the middle of this? And I'm sure the answers will be different for each particular series, or should we definitely go back and start at the beginning, or should I go back and start at the beginning so that I can kind of share the backstory with our book club members as we're discussing the book, that kind of thing. So that'll be coming up pretty soon. I'll be doing some videos about what we're reading for book club. And then I got a couple of little tiny projects, but first let me go back and talk about my bigger projects this year that I kind of got out of order a little bit. I mentioned that I'm going to read theme, seasonally and with themes each month. So some of my projects are going to fit in very nicely with that. And one of them is the big project that I announced this year that is Get Serious About Series. And several of you have jumped on board and have joined my Goodreads group and have shared what series you're going to be reading. And I have been this whole last week, as I had time, sitting down, combing through my Goodreads, looking at my shelves and just trying to figure out what series that I'm finished, what am I reading, what is ongoing that I'm caught up with, that I want to stay caught up with, all of that. And I think I have figured out what my specific TBR is going to be for the Get Serious About Series challenge. And I have 21 series that I am most likely to be able to finish or just catch up with. And a lot of those, at least 16 different series, I just need to read one to either catch up or be done with those series. Several of them are adult fiction, 3 of the series are middle grade, and then the rest are cozy mysteries. So I will be doing some videos talking about each of those series, as well as other series within those categories that I'm working on. I have several series, I want to say it's about... 12? I think 12 different middle grade trilogies that I've read the first one and I would like to read the other two. Probably not all this year, though. I will probably pick 3 or 4 of those and at least try to finish 3 or 4 of those trilogies off the list, or maybe half. I don't know. That would be 1 book a month from each of those, like from 6 different trilogies. So stuff like that I want to do as far as my series go. Now, another project that I talked about, I've probably mentioned it in passing, is author binges. I would like to pick out about 12, at least 12 authors, preferably ones that I own, and binge those books. Now, at least 3 or 4 of them, I'd like for them to be authors that I've collected that I've never read. So I want to try some new authors that I have on my shelf that I've never read. And then the others don't have to be ones I've never read. They can just be authors that I have collected a lot of books by, and I want to just comb through their catalog and read the ones I have, read the ones I can get on audio, just get a lot of their books done so that I can then come back to you and do some more author talks. I have enjoyed when I've been able to do that in the past, where I can just talk to you about a particular author, kind of do a focus or a spotlight on them, and talk about all their books, which are my favorites, are there any I don't like, which ones I would recommend, that kind of thing. So that's a project that I definitely want to do. And then I have another project that kind of involves reading my shelves. So, I've heard a lot of booktubers talk about, this year they really want to read from their shelves. Now, others will talk about, I only want to read library books because I don't want to buy any new books. Those must be the people who have caught up with the books on their shelves, so they don't have big collections. That's great. I have a huge collection, and I'm not ashamed of that. I love having a lot of books. I love being surrounded by books, but I want to read them. I'm 56, so who knows how many years I have left, and, I've probably got enough books in my life right now in my house to keep me in books without ever having to go to the library again. But I love to go to the library. I'm not saying I'm not going to go to the library, and I'm definitely going to be book shopping. As soon as libraries start having sales again, I'll be back. I love book shopping almost as much as book reading. But I want to make some space on my shelves. I want to read what I have, and I want to continue shopping. So that's kind of a dilemma. And because I have several sources where I can find audiobooks, I want to utilize those as much as possible, not to inflate my number of audiobooks read. I already know I can listen to, 330 audiobooks if necessary. Well, I did that last year. But I want to really zoom in on books that I own that I can find on audio easily without having to buy them, and then possibly move those books out of my house to make more room. And so that's a huge goal. And I may take you along with me on some of those video journeys where I'm going through shelves and, I don't know, that might be pretty boring though to pick, because I'm basically going to, touch every book, pick it up, look at it, see if it's on Hoopla, see if it's on Audible Plus, see if it's on Scribd, see if my library has it on CD, and just basically catalog all my books and tell where I can find it on audio. And if I can find it on audio for free, I want to go ahead and listen to that book this year. And if it's something that I'm done with, then it can move out of my house and I can have, I can free up some space. So that is a big project that I want to do. And there will be a lot of, I especially want to do that with cozy mysteries. I have way too many cozy mysteries on my shelf than I could probably ever read in my lifetime, and I need to move out the ones that I'm either not super interested in or that I could just listen to on audio and be done with. Okay, then a couple of just little tiny projects. I want to finish my Stackmas tree. I don't even think I showed it this year because I went to find my little pieces of paper that I had already pre-cut to go in the slots that I have now read. I haven't quite finished all of them, and I've misplaced them, so I got to do some cleaning, and I've been saying that too. That's a goal, do some cleaning. And so I want to finish my Stackmas tree, and then I'll show it to you. If you don't have any idea what I'm talking about, look back to Christmas of 2019 when that was my project, my Stackmas tree. I had basically a tree of Stacking the Series books that I was finishing and trying to read from October to December, and I got a lot done, but I didn't quite finish it. So I'm looking at it right here. It's still here, and and I want to finish that and then take a nice picture, and then it can go. So that is something I want to do. And then I want to talk about something that you guys have probably, I don't know if you read any of the comments that I had back and forth with a couple of the hosts, but there is a readathon happening, or a read along happening all year, that involves some books that are near and dear to my heart. I'm talking about the Mitford series. So Kate Howe and Rainey and Angie from Literary Labors and someone else that I don't know, they are reading the Mitford books this year, one a month, the first 12. And when I first saw that, I wrote to Angie and I said, I am not going to lie, I am so jealous right now that I'm not a part of this, because I love Mitford so much. I would live there if I could, I think. I mean, it's beautiful. The books are fantastic. It's my favorite series of all time. So why am I upset? I shouldn't be upset, because this is going to introduce so many of you who might not have ever taken the time to pick up the books and read them. It's going to introduce you to Mitford. So I think what I'm most mad about is why I didn't think of it first. And, you know, and I would love to be a part of it, but it's okay, because all of the ladies who are leading this read along have never read them. And so they're going to be looking at Mitford through new eyes, and it's going to be great. So what I decided I would do, since I'm not ready to reread all of the books at this point, I do have 2 books by Jan Karon that I have not read cover to cover. One of them is The Mitford Bedside Companion. And I have been wanting to get to this for several years, and I just haven't. It has a section from each of the first several books. So I think I'm just going to, instead of rereading each book, I'm just going to read the section for the book that they're on each month out of the Mitford Bedside Companion. And so by the end of the year, or whenever, I don't even know how many books this one includes. It's not all of them, but it might be at least the first 12. Maybe it's the first 9. I'm not sure. So, you know, at some point in the year, I will finish this book, and that'll be great. And I'm going to do something similar with the Mitford Cookbook and Kitchen Reader. This has some little stories and vignettes along with the recipes, and I have never read this cover to cover. And I'm almost positive that this is broken down by book as well. So I could start at the beginning and read the recipes and the stories that are here that pertain to the first book, and then in February read the part that pertains to the second book, and so forth. So that is my goal for a year in Mitford. And if you are participating in that read-along, I wish you much joy and happiness, because Mitford is fantastic. And I hope that you find it fantastic as well. I hesitate to say that because, you know, so much build up, and you're going to think, you know, what if you don't? And then I'm like, oh, what if they don't like it? It can be, it is very slow paced. I will tell you that. So don't go in expecting that it's going to be this wild ride. It's not. It's just beautiful. So I hope you love it. And, you know, chat with me in the comments about Mitford, about anything. I did do a video in, I think, January of 2019 about all the Mitford books, my recommended reading order, and everything about Jan Karon that I, you know, could do. So I'll link that video below if you are participating in a year in Mitford. There's no spoilers for anything, so you could certainly watch that video and, you know, in preparation for reading a year in Mitford. Okay, that is about it. Other than the reading challenges, I want to improve the tech stuff. I want to do some improvements there. I have been learning how to make better thumbnails, so I'm happy about that. I can certainly improve there, and just several things like that I'd like to do. And I want to improve my actual channel layout. I want to make some playlists and stuff like that, and I just haven't had time to do that. But maybe now that I'm retired, I can get that done. So, and if... I hesitate to make this a goal because there's really nothing I can do about it, but it would be great if I could make it to 2,000 subscribers this year. You know, if I don't, it's fine, but it would just be kind of a fun thing to have happen. And if I do, I know a lot of booktubers, when they hit certain milestones, they do Q&As. I've never done one of those because I really don't ever feel like I'm interesting enough for you to ask anything about. The one really super interesting thing about my life that I just retired from, I can't really talk about much. And so, that's kind of sad, but it's okay because I've literally been living a dream for the last 30 plus years, and it's been fantastic. And you might check out my Instagram if you want to know what I'm talking about or where I retired from and what I did at the job that I retired from. So that's it for this video. I will be back soon with more videos regarding some of the more specific projects and, the details of some of these things that I think you would find most interesting. And that's all for this video. Let me know what your goals are, and we'll chat in the comments. I hope you're having a great day. Read a good book, and God bless you.